The following is a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club.
Hello and welcome to our broadcast of the 2023 Spring Chess Classic. My name is Julian Proleiko. I'm joined by Women's Grandmaster Tatev Abrahamyan, and we get to see the A and B groups of this tournament, of one being hotly contested and the other one might even be clinched today by Felix Blohberger.
Hello everyone and welcome to the penultimate round of Spring Chess Classic. It's possible, as Julian mentioned, that we will crown a champion today. So let's take a look at the standings and see where we are going into this round. And we see in Group A, the difference between the first place and last place is actually only 1 point. So this is a very tightly contested group. So we have a three-way tie as we did yesterday. There is no change in the standings. Dariusz Swiercz, Christopher Yu, and Benjamin Bach going to this round tied for first place. And a tie between four players, Sevian, Illia Nyzhnyk, Benjamin, Gledura, and Nodirbek Yakubboev, who are half a point behind. And then we have three players, Dardha, Yasser Quesada, and Abhi Mishra, who are only a point behind. So anything still can happen in this tournament, so it's possible that anyone can still win this. So we will find out what happens today and tomorrow when we will crown finally a champion. And in the B group, actually, things are very different, as we have one player, Felix Blohberger, who won his game yesterday in first place with 5.5 points, being chased by Liang, who is a full point behind. And for third place, we have a tie between Dambasuren Batsuren and Akshat Chandra. And this one I actually might have a winner today.
So let's go ahead and take a look at the tournament format. The players are playing game in 90 with a 30-second increment from the start of move 1. And then at move 40, they will get an additional 30 minutes for the rest of the game with a 30-second increment throughout the entire game. And the schedule is they will be playing today at 1 p.m. obviously, but tomorrow they'll start 2 hours earlier, and this is because there might be a playoff. So join us 2 hours earlier at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time.
And we see the players in the playing hall, and they are already several hours into their games. And let's take a look at the pairings and let's see what is going on in this round. So let's start with Group A, and we have our key matchup of the day, which is between Christopher Yu and Sevian as the two co-leaders. And we will jump to that game, but because the round has started at 1 o'clock, there are a lot of positions that we might be having decisive results soon. So let's start with this game and then we'll move on to the other positions. And looking at this, my first impression is that this game is actually nearing a draw. But maybe it's a bit dangerous for white, because maybe this pawn will fall. So if we imagine this king coming close, then bishop f1, and maybe rerunning this bishop. But I think if that happens, then white will start checking the king, and then king moves away. Then we come back to b1 and defend this. So I think maybe this game is just nearing a draw at this point.
So I know that 4v3s are typically theoretically drawn, but maybe practically difficult to play. Do you have any experience with 5v4s and what the evaluation of those positions usually are? Not that Black will get a 5v4, but he is dreaming of achieving that one day, maybe.
I don't think I've ever had it in the game. So what Julian is referring to, if Black is able to get this pawn and trade bishops, and we're talking about rook endgames. Of course, the more pawns we add, the better it is for the side who's trying to win. And in that position, there are better chances, of course, for Black, and especially here, because immediately we can create a passed pawn and can be quite annoying, and also will depend on the structure. If my rook can get, let's say, on the second rank, cut off your king. So 5 versus 4 is already very difficult to defend. Of course, there's always practical chances in a rook endgame, but I don't think we will get there, because... So the way he played, as we said, his moves, bishop c6, of course, impossible to take. The rook is hanging, so he defends. And now I imagine something like this. So let's say we bring our kings. So the king goes back, and something like this, then I will check.
So there's never going to be an opportunity for me to put 3 pieces on the b5 pawn.
But I think what maybe we can do is play something like this and put a king on b6. So for example, something like this. Now this is a threat. So let's say you check, I go here. And now I can bring a rook from this side. So this actually can become a bit uncomfortable. But in the game instead he played f4 in this position and now king e7. So perhaps his idea is not to bring his king, but to do what? Maybe to activate his rook and put a rook on a6.
Yeah, actually, you can move your rook away right now as white because bishop b5 would be tactically impossible due to rook to b1.
Yes, this would be, I think, still very good drawing chances, but okay, why allow any of this? So in this position, then I would play here, but I'm still worried about this move because I think you are very likely to lose this pawn. Actually, I think you are losing this pawn. So it's just a matter of creating some kind of counterplay here and maybe getting one of the kingside pawns. But I don't see that happening. So I think this position is already becoming a bit problematic.
So Sam is going to be pressing against Christopher in this endgame for maybe a while. Do you want to take a look at some of the other games?
Let's take a look, yes, at this game, which I thought was going to have a result soon, Benjamin Gledura and Dariusz Swiercz. And we see that black is in a lot of trouble. Rook g5 is coming, a huge threat. And the question is what to do here. This position actually, if we just do a recap of what's going on in the position. So rook versus 2 pieces, but the 2 pieces are on the queen side and the king is just very lonely and getting checkmated. So if it's black to move, what can black do here? So rook g5 is a threat, so the rook on a5, I want to put it to use, but unfortunately we cannot capture it because now we bring another piece into the game.
Right.
Which leads to immediate checkmate. And otherwise...
so if we play a move like f4, it doesn't look good, but I gotta try something.
So if I take...
King f8.
And I take... If you go rook e5, I will take.
Right. I guess bishop e6 is my only chance.
And maybe somehow things are defended here. So if I check, and I also saw the eval drops immediately drop. So if I check, and annoyingly everything is defended because if I take here, you will take with the king, and this is defended by the knight. So that doesn't really work out for me. So yeah. F4 is a very logical try. Let's see what we can do here. So I cannot avoid this trade. I don't think e5 is anything, right? You will just take.
Yeah.
No, but you cannot take.
Oh,
because I have some...
Oh, I lose a piece. Yeah.
Okay, so if I go e5, still threatening rook g5, what will you do?
It's a tough question.
To find moves, right?
Maybe so bishop e6.
No, bishop e6, rook g5. You have to give up.
Oh yeah, yeah. The other threat.
So the main threat here is actually rook g5. I don't think queen h7 is so devastating. So maybe. a three-way tie.
Yeah, the A group, like as you said before, anybody can win this tournament, and yeah, it must be really tense right now for all the players. Nobody wants to give up their current spot in the standings.
And we do see the players. We see Gledura is in deep thought, and I think Daro is realizing how bad his position is and what happened. We can actually, if we go back here, this tactic that happened, Black played this move knight c6, which looks very logical, right? Your opponent's attacking the pawn and you're defending. But again, we see this lonely king with no defenders, and immediately knight f6, just destroying the position. And then the rook on h4 with a devastating idea of queen h6 with checkmate.
Yeah. And it must be said that Black must take on f6, because if you played king h8, then rook h4 was forced checkmate, I believe. Rook h4, and if you play h6, then you can play rook h6, gh6, queen h6. And this is just game.
I wanted to take with the queen, but I don't think that works out.
Oh, yeah, then g7 square, unfortunately.
That's unfortunate. Okay. So then you block. Yeah, because if you go king g5, I have mate.
That would be very pretty.
Also, I have many ways to mate. Must be very satisfying, right?
Right. Bishop f5 unfortunately saves Black's life.
But so gf6, so this is played. Now queen h6 is coming, so rook e8 only move, queen h6. So he plays f5, and this really beautiful move, bishop e4, which is probably what he missed, with the point being that you cannot take on e4 with the pawn, as we showed before. This is hanging, so queen h7 here, and queen f7 mate, because by taking a bishop, you introduce your opponent's piece into the attack, and if Black passes somehow, let's say rook a5, then there's this move of rook g4.
Oh man.
And after f takes g4, bishop h7. All right, I suppose this is checkmate too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to show, because this is a very common theme, right? Just how the bishop and the queen.
Right, you don't even need the rook on f1 anymore.
And
it would be nicer if you could take the rook on f1 off the board.
Then you just, your opponent has all the pieces and you just checkmate with the pieces. That would have been very satisfying. So I think bishop e4 is the move he possibly missed. And so he took with the rook. But the problem is this heavy piece positions, right? And the king safety, this theme that keeps coming up.
Yeah.
This king is quite lonely, no defenders. If this bishop could transport itself to g7, this king would be
right, then Black would probably just be winning. Well, maybe not, because Black's king is still pretty weak, but it would at least be a fight.
Now there's all these ideas. So with queen h7, he takes f5, f6, so rook a5, bringing a piece into the defense. But now after rook h5, so Black is still thinking a really nice attack, a bit of I can call it a miniature, so over 20 moves. But a really nice attack by White, so we expect to have a decisive result in the game. And in the meantime, let's take a look at the pairings in Group B. And there, as we mentioned, we have one player who is a point ahead, so Felix Blohberger is a full point ahead of his closest rival, Jason Liang, and they happen to be playing today with Felix with the white pieces and Jason with the black pieces. So let's go to that game and see what we have there. Yeah,
and if I'm not mistaken, if Felix wins this game, then the tournament's just over. He's won the tournament clear first with a round to spare.
Yeah, that would be a very impressive and very satisfying result, of course, winning such a strong tournament with a round to spare. So what is your first impression of this position?
I do like black here because I think the bishop on g2 is blunted, and I'm not sure what the queen on a6 is doing at the moment. But on the other hand, I have seen positions like this where white can play a move like g4 at some point and then the center collapses. I mean, now would be a really bad time to do it. But I don't know, probably I prefer black, but not by a whole lot.
Yeah, when I first look at the position, I actually didn't even realize that white is up a pawn. The first thing that stands out to me, is, as you mentioned, is this queen, because it's just so out of the game. Like, why is the queen here? What is it doing there? And black's play, actually, this piece play can be quite easy. What is black's play actually associated with? Because I'm realizing I cannot go f4. The pawn is hanging. As you mentioned, we don't want to move these pawns because we're blunting this bishop. Can we say we're blunting? Is that correct?
I believe so.
And there's some kind of a piece domination, right? Because this knight also being dominated and these two bishops aiming on this side. At some point, I would like to be able to win this pawn. And this queen, at the same time, this queen is kind of annoying, right? Because if I go rook a8, then you take my pawn. And now you're quite happy because you will also take the c pawn and you got a pass pawn.
I wonder if I can play a call move like bishop c7 just with the intention of playing rook a8 and taking the a2 pawn back.
So if I go here, so actually you're threatening to trap my, no, you're not threatening to trap my queen, but I don't want my queen going to b7. I was just thinking if I go here.
Yeah, but now your queen doesn't have any squares, right?
Yeah, I'm actually trapped. So I have to go to a3. So rook here, I go, I only have 3 moves.
You can go to c3, right? But you don't want to run into bishop e5, I guess.
So you want to go bishop e5 or you want to take with the threat of bishop e5? As we say, threat is stronger than the execution. Yeah,
rook a2 seems like a better move.
It's probably a transposition because here, is this trapping my queen again? No, I have c1.
But like the quality of black's pieces is obviously better than the quality of white's pieces. I think the one advantage that white has is with the structure on the king side. Like I think even though our pawns are currently blunting the bishop on g2, if at some point white can undermine them with either g4 or f3, maybe black's pawns become isolated and weak later in the game. So white's playing for long-term advantages and black is playing for activity right now.
So at least white has a pawn for his suffering, right? So it's not like my queen is out of the game, my bishop is not doing anything and I have nothing to show for it. Yeah, but as we keep mentioning, the long-term potential, right? So pawn structure, so whenever we're going for a pawn, like you're trying to break apart a pawn structure, you want to go for the core of the structure. So here is f5, which is why Julian keeps mentioning this move, because once we take this e4 pawn, would be quite happy. So I think black really wishes this pawn was on g6 and this knight was somewhere else to keep the structure. So last move, rook d7. Sorry, let me promote this. So bishop h6 and rook went to d7, offering an exchange. So what do we think about this move?
I think it makes a lot of sense. A rook d7 trying to get the open d file. If white trades on d7, I think that's beneficial to us.
Who's us? Who are we in this case?
Actually,
we're on the winning side, but this game is a bit double-edged, so I don't know who's us here.
Just speaking from black's perspective, I think rook d7, queen d7 would be good for black, a good exchange because the queen controls the d file. Although maybe not, because knight e3, rook d1 could also come.
Yeah, I'm not actually so sure about this exchange because what move you were suggesting, bishop c7, which I like, is now rook a8 is a big threat, right? But once we take these rooks off the board, my queen finally feels safer on a6 because I don't think you can really attack it, right? Because you were attacking with a rook before, but now your rook is not connected to anyone, so this is not an option, and your b6 pawn is hanging. So after knight e3, rook d1, how do you take advantage of my queen being so awkwardly placed?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. I'm not entirely sure, but maybe, yeah, something like c4, not even playing against your queen, but just getting a pass pawn could be pretty interesting.
So e3 was played. So what?
Oh, I don't like that move personally.
Yeah, I don't like it either because it does several things. So first, this idea of f3 becomes more difficult, and it also takes away a square from the knight. So now the knight is also a bit trapped. So now you actually don't have any moves with the knight because our hope was to play. We wanted to trade, right? Knight e3 with the idea of rook d1.
Right.
This is actually not a move, right? Because maybe I even have queen ace. Oh, g7 is defended. Unfortunate. Got very excited there.
I mean, still, like, Black needs to be worried about his king because if he's not careful, we do control the 7th rank. I mean, even queen, I think queen a7 is a perfectly logical move, and rook d1 could. Oh, you're you're trading off my active queen, but still, like, takes and rook d1.
Well, this is hanging.
I think white is actually for choice here because now we can see that the pawns on the king side for black will become quite weak. Even bishop h3 instead of g4.
Ah, that's nice. Oh, because there's no way to defend now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually like white here. And we keep saying this, if Felix Blohberger wins, then he will win the tournament. But if Jason wins, then it's a whole different story. Jason will tie for first. And if he wins tomorrow, then he also has chances to win the tournament outright. And
I think Felix is also quite happy with a draw here, because then he was going into the next round still a point ahead. So I don't think he feels too much pressure to win this game. And even though he's not playing for any norms or anything, there is quite a large prize fund for this tournament. So there's a lot on the line for them to play, because winning this tournament would be a nice paycheck.
Yeah, let's go ahead and look at the prize fund. What are the players playing for? So in Group A, first place is 6,000, 4,000, and 3,000 for first through third. And the total prize fund is $22,000. So quite a bit of money in Group A. And in Group B, first place is 4,000, 2,500, and 2,000 for first through third, and with a total prize fund of $14,000. So definitely no small change there, which is why Felix and Jason are going to be fighting their hardest in this game.
And it's a $1,500 difference between first and second place, which is significant. So a first place would be preferable. So
for sure.
E3, and Jason does have more time on the clock. And another thing that really bothers me here is this c pawn, because this c pawn might move. So I see he made a move. I don't know what the move is yet. He went knight e7. So he decides he's not happy with his knight on g6. He brings it back. I wonder if he's thinking about queen h5. So this bishop is kind of funny here, but at least we have the f4 square.
So this is what I was going to say. I think in the previous position, when black had the knight on g6, white doesn't really want to play the move bishop f4, because we will play knight f4, and I think the two bishops are actually an advantage here. But now that knight e7 is played, is bishop f4 a good idea? Because if you play bishop f4, I can take with my pawn and once again put my knight on the e3 square. Am I running into something?
I think I would wait for you to make me play bishop f4, because if you want knight e7, so what is the idea of knight e7? I think you want to go to d5, right? Because I don't think he played knight e7 with the idea of queen g6. It's not like you're trapping the bishop, doesn't seem like a huge threat. So if I go here, maybe takes, knight d5 can be annoying.
Wait, actually maybe I should take on d7 first before I take on f4, because I think the more pieces I trade, just the better it is for me. I'm up a pawn after all. No, bishop f4.
Oh, but now I'm a little, if it takes. I'm a bit afraid here.
I'm afraid too, but...
But it's not your game.
Yeah, it's not my game. I can take my moves back.
Yeah, how do you...
Queen a4?
Oof.
I want to play bishop f1, knight e3.
Yeah, bishop f1 might save you, because otherwise everything is just hanging here.
Right.
If knight d5, bishop f1.
Yeah, everything is sort of hanging, but...
Yeah, I think you have to be like very concrete to make sure everything works. So let's go for this forcing line, right? You have to take... Actually, you don't have to take.
Queen a7, which is what I thought I was going to do.
So now I have to go one of these moves. But I don't like this for you.
Oh, queen d8's really nice. Rook a8 comes. Yeah, I missed this idea.
Me too. I just had two squares to choose from. This one.
Yeah, so...
Okay, let's go for this. You take. So now this is hanging. So you go back, otherwise you'll run into this. So I go here. This pawn makes me really nervous, because if you think about the pawns, right? So it's 4 versus 3 here, and this is 2 versus 2. But this passed pawn, it's a defended passed pawn, which is really dangerous. And I'm winning this pawn, which might mean I might win this one.
That's true, but I don't actually know. Like rook a1, you have to take with your knight, right? Because bishop takes runs into rook a2 and bishop c4. So when you take with your knight, I go knight e3. I do agree that black has like a lot of play, but I think white also has play because f5 becomes quite weak and.
I just want to. Oh, you're actually just threatening to take it. So if I make. Even if I go here, you can't take it.
that's fancy.
But I'm also okay. I don't want to pin myself because something like this or knight c. Actually, knight c4 with knight b6 might be trouble. I shouldn't. I was just trying to make a move. Let me make a move, just to show what Julian is trying to do. Okay, that's a fair point. And actually, we're getting a lot of moves in. So bishop f4 was played. He didn't trade on d7 first. So takes and knight d5.
Understandably, he didn't want to have all his pieces hanging to knight forks.
So knight c3, and is knight c3 a huge threat, or you take on d7? But okay, let's try to find a move. Actually, rook a6 is a big threat here. This is the main threat. You're trying to trap my queen, so I have to come back. This is my only move, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can't go to a4. Knight c3 has to be really good after queen a4.
What is this called, a royal fork? Or that has to include the king too?
I think it has to include the king, but I'm really bad with chess nomenclature. I couldn't tell you.
I don't think it's chess culture. I think it's just this names that, like, I don't think we have this in other languages. Maybe. Okay, queen a3 played. But I also think this is very good for white because everything is forced now and he's low on time. And when you're low on time, you really want to get a lot of moves in, especially with increment, because then you're just building time. So when you play, when you play a move like bishop f4 and your opponent takes, that's a free move for you. So that's you get a move, you get closer to move 40, and you get 30 seconds added to your clock. So there is no downside to something like this. And the reason I'm saying this is because he has 9.5 minutes and Jason has 25 minutes. And there is still a lot of moves to make, and the position is not that simple as we see.
Right. A position is very complicated. I mean, on every turn, both. Well, first of all, in real life, the bar's going up and down, and secondly, I mean, we try to play some moves, and it's just so easy to make a mistake.
And now I'm starting to think that the queen is coming to b2. How do I feel about this king here? Hard to imagine how this king would come under trouble, but now the king seems a little more vulnerable without the dark squared bishop, because if I compare this position to this, not this, like this, where there's a bishop here, but I also have my dark squared bishop, so my king feels better defended. But after all of this, which is e3 bishop f4, now I understand the idea. Initially I didn't really understand the purpose, but now I see he wants to trade and then put a knight on e3. I'm starting to wonder about the safety of this king.
I'm wondering if knight e7 just ran into the idea of e3 though. Like, I think that black might have been better off just not moving his knight from g6. Like, is bishop f4 really something that white wants to do? Like,
so he has to make a different move here then, instead of knight e7. Well, knight e7 was played after e3.
Right, so e3, and then instead of knight e7, I don't know what what a good improving move looks like. Maybe bishop c7 again, or queen queen f7. Like, if you play bishop f4, I think I just take it with my knight, right? Like, this position doesn't feel like it should be very good for white. Like, ef and then bishop d4 even, like, position looks like domination.
Yeah, because if you take this, the quality of the pawns again.
Yeah, controlling the center is important in chess.
So yeah, bishop f4 wasn't really an idea, but you're right, knight e7 kind of encouraged this move. So I think they're making more moves, what I see on the feed. So knight d5, queen a3, rook b d8. All of this very logical. So knight and rooks, and we see these pieces eyeing each other. So now we have to worry about knight jumps, because knights are very annoying pieces. For example, if I go queen c1.
Yeah, knight f4. Yeah.
It's kind of clever.
Maybe you were even threatening knight f4 in the initial position, because knight f4 you take on d7, I go knight e2, and then king f1 I take on d7 with the queen, and then when you take on e2 I have queen d2 check.
Well, queen d2 I run away. I think you want to start with... queen d2 winning this also. Yeah,
you're meaner than me. You actually want to checkmate your opponent. I just wanted to win my piece back.
Who said this? Was it Grishchik? It's like, if you win in the middle game, you don't have to worry about the endgame anymore. So if you checkmate your opponent, then you don't have to worry about endgames.
That's fair.
So queen a3, rook b d8. Okay, so knight f4 is a threat. So knight f4 is a threat because of knight e2. So we have to cover e2. So if I go here, is this, oh,
No,
am I running into, okay, but let's try this again.
Yeah.
Oh, I defended my knight.
Yeah, I don't
So
think.
that's the rook, so I can just take. But okay, so let's say here we take with the queen. Don't think you want to take with the pawn, but now I can just win a pawn, right?
Right, and then black has the better structure in this endgame because you have a protected passed pawn, and unlike in previous positions where we had this g4 lever, I think now playing g4 weakens our own structure because we'll have these double isolated f pawns.
Okay, so let's find a move here. So knight f4, this card is a threat.
Bishop f1 is maybe an idea, because if there's no knight e2, I don't think knight f4 works very well.
Yeah, and any kind of check will be met with queen g3, so nothing to worry about there. Okay, so now are we threatening bishop c4? I'm still a bit worried about this. My rook is a bit loose here, and there's this knight c3 in the air, so I'm a bit nervous. Can I play here with the idea of queen g7, knight c3 somehow?
Maybe queen b2 just to get on the diagonal. Also, the queen on a3 makes me a little worried.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about the queen there. Queen f7 looks like a normal move, right? It's threatening some rook a7s, maybe put a queen on g7.
Yeah, you still probably go queen g7, right? Queen g7, then take, and we have to still be thinking about some knight c3 tricks. Maybe knight c3 is even a threat right now.
Taking the a2 pawn. Yeah, I think in this endgame, the black wins the a2 pawn. White is in a lot of trouble. So bishop f1 played. So Felix playing pretty quickly, 8.5 minutes. So he made this move in 30 seconds. So that's quite quick. And it feels like with every move, this position is just so imbalanced that like the level of danger changes. It's like, okay, what does white do? What does black do? What does white do? I wonder how they feel about this position. Maybe we can talk one of them or both of them and talk about these critical moments in the game and how they're feeling here.
Yeah, definitely very tense right now. A lot of money on the line, and every decision is very tough for both players.
And so in this section, we have a result already. Kirk Ghazarian drew, I want to go to the final position, Balaji Daggupati. So this was some kind of a repetition.
18 move draw, which is not allowed in this tournament unless you achieve it through repetition. So these players had to play 3 moves in order to claim a draw because there's a 40 move draw rule.
This is funny.
Queen b3 and then you walk into discovery,
yeah.
king f7. It's not very natural.
So all of this happened.
I wonder, so they're following a game, which I always wonder when I see these sorts of names. It seems like it should be a correspondence game to me.
Probably.
Yeah.
And now we see the repetition. But Kirk is having a pretty tough tournament. He's at -2, so I think he just wants to, heal, what did they say? Stop the bleeding and be done with this. And another game that we saw where we're expecting to see a result soon. There was a really nice tactic. I will show that moment here. This game which is Akshat Chandra and Dambasuren Batsuren. A really nice unexpected shot of bishop h7 because the rooks are not connected yet. The idea being that after king h7, queen h4 picks up the rook.
Yeah, one of our very famous St. Louis Grandmasters, Yakubboev, says loose pieces drop off. It's his favorite saying. So rook on d8 is not protected by anything. You gotta watch out for tactics like this.
And this is the correct move order. We're looking at this before the broadcast because queen h4, which looks even more threatening because you take on h7, with a queen is met by bishop f5, both blocking this bishop and connecting the rooks. So this was the correct move order. And now I also don't love this.
Yeah.
King g8, but it's just white up a pawn and the compensation, right? Because you also have the 7 rank. You
also positionally worse.
Yeah, this is pretty big blunder by the black player. Bishop e6 and takes another pawn. And I think he wanted to go bishop e6 just to finish his development, but I think here rook e6 is possible. At least, okay, you're trading, but at least you finish your development.
Yeah, maybe he was afraid of even like queen d4 here, or
D4.
a b4 looks good, but I was thinking this endgame is just like flat out unplayable. Like you have the worst bishop, you're down a pawn, and you have no entry squares. So I will dominate one of the files, and I'll bring my king in slowly, and I think you just lose.
Yeah, there's nothing good about this position. So he went bishop e6, takes on b7. Ooh, this is like a very similar tactic. Oh, this is tough. But I mean, the position was already so bad, so I don't think I can blame him for this.
That's nice. It's nice geometry.
But it's the same rook, right, that comes under this attack. This rook that went from d8 to some adventures, and the idea being, if you take, which is what happened in the game, check and picks up this rook. And now rook b1 simply defends the pawn, puts the rook behind the pawn, and then at some point this pawn will start moving. So rook a4. But okay, this game will go on for some time. I don't think... I mean, I don't see any counterplay for black. Maybe he wants to play something like rook h4, but also it's going to take some time for white to push this pawn and make progress. But this will go on for a few more moves. And our most combative player in this tournament, Viktor Mikhalevski, he did lose that game yesterday. That queen. It was queen versus bishop and a rook, right? And then became queen versus two rooks, and eventually,
right?
Yeah, he lost that game. And the position looks extremely complicated.
Yeah, knights on a6 and a5.
not something we're used to seeing. A lot of things are happening here.
Yeah, position is just wild. So black has the center, but white has this pass pawn on c6, which could be very dangerous, and this bishop on g2, which could also be very strong.
Just hanging, right?
Just looks like, you know, when you like take your pieces out of your bag and you dump them on the board. This is sort of what the position looks like to me.
And we'll definitely come back to this game because it just looks fascinating and interesting. But in Group A, we're nearing a result in this game between Benjamin Gledura and Dariusz Swiercz. Going to promote this, so we see how we got here. So this is where we left off. f6 is played. Of course, not a move he's happy with. So queen takes. And the idea of, so this looks strong, as well as queen h8, possibly. Rook went to e5, queen g6, with the idea of rook h8. And you cannot really go here because I take.
Yeah, all the pieces hang, and you're just mated.
But he actually did go there, because you don't have any other move.
Yeah, rook
right,
h8 is a huge threat.
And rook h7 too. Too many threats here. So king e7, take on f6, king d6.
Rook h7, or queen d6,
rook h8, and I think this is game over. I think he resigned here. Wow, really nice game.
Just from
by Gledura.
Yeah, from start to finish, just a dominating performance by Gledura.
And if we get him here for interview, we'll talk about this game more, because they followed a game, I believe it was by Fabiano, to a point. So we see a lot of deep preparation in Group A, and you know, players finding novelties on move 30 like Benjamin. And so, you know, they're very well prepared. So if we do get him, we will ask him about it. If not, we can come back and take a look at it. And let's see if we have anything in Christopher Yu and some Sevian. Oh, we do have 5 versus 4.
Oh man, my question gets to be answered.
But this is very different, right? Because f7 is hanging, so you are going to lose a pawn here. So for example, so this was the position. So he went rook a7, and he went king d3, which means he's not worried about giving up this pawn. And I think the reason he's not worried about giving up this pawn is because after rook f7, this pawn falls.
It's interesting that he gives rook b3 check. Probably he just did this to get closer to the time control, right? Because you have to eventually have your rook take the h2 pawn. Otherwise, it's just going to be rook and 4 versus rook and 4, right?
Yeah, because, okay, rook b3, is this bad? I don't think this is bad. f6, I'll check.
Oh, you check me. Okay.
Yeah, f6, this would be a funny mate. No, you're right. I think he is simply reaching we are reaching move 40, and this is the whole purpose of this check. But so let's see. So if check here, king d3, takes, king f7.
Should we give up the f pawn or should we give up the g pawn?
You don't want to.
I mean, I want to achieve a passed pawn, and I feel like it's easier to do that if I play f6, e5 than by keeping my g pawn. I'm not totally sure.
How do you defend this guy?
That's a good question.
Because, okay, if you go something like this, I just take, I defend g3, and if you go g6, I play rook g7.
Right, and if I go g5, then you'll just take a lot and then play, well, I meant in the previous position, but eventually you will achieve the same position.
Yeah,
g5,
rook g5,
take, and then rook g7.
Takes, and rook g7.
Yeah, maybe black has to give away his g pawn in order to play like e5 and play for activity, but I don't, or I mean earlier probably you don't want to trade so many pawns if we're trying to win, like in this position play e5, but I don't foresee this being super dangerous.
Okay, so let's say takes, and maybe e4.
Yeah, something like this.
So king c3, and yeah, maybe we can go something like this, right? And then try to go after this pawn. So let's keep looking at the games. We are going to get an interview with Gledura. So in this position, we have the game between Abhi Mishra and Benjamin Bach. And Benjamin Bach is one of the leaders in the tournament. And if he wins this round, then he will become the sole leader. So let's see what we have going on in this position. We can take the evaluation. So if you look at the position, again, we have the structure of 4 versus 3 and 4 versus 3 on the queen side. But so white's idea is to create some kind of attack with g4, g5 as the last move rook h1 indicates. And black's idea is to play on the queen side where the majority is, and black does have the 2 bishops, and we talked a lot about the advantage of the 2 bishops and also controlling this e-file. And we will come back into this game, but in the meantime we have Benjamin Gledura, who won this really beautiful game and is now leading the tournament. So congratulations on your victory. We really enjoyed looking at this game.
Thank you so much.
So can you please take us to this game?
Yeah, so I played c4, which is, it was a surprise, I guess, for him, because I play knight f3, d4, e4. But in this tournament, I played c4 the first time. So he went e5 twice, which I was expecting that. g3. Yeah, so the line is very interesting. Knight f6, bishop g2, c6. He didn't play this before. I mean, I didn't know that he was going to play this, but I knew this. So knight f3, e4, knight d4, queen b6, knight b3, a5. This is not the main line, but definitely one of the best for black. White should know it very well if there is anything. I'm not even sure if it's an advantage.
So you're trapping your knight here.
Yeah, d3,
okay.
a4.
So was all of this still your preparation?
Yeah, it was until move like 17. Okay. So knight d2, bishop c5, castle. e3 is very good move, takes, queen h1, knight g4, knight c3, and here I knew that knight f2 is a move, rook f2, bishop f2, knight a4, and I know that knight takes a4, I believe. Knight takes a4. Or maybe
knight takes a4, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And how would you evaluate this position?
So I knew it's slightly better for white, but I believe it can be very unpleasant for black because, let's say, queen a7, yeah, go back on knight e4, I'm not sure, but yeah, there is I have also some development advantage, and yeah, the knights are coming fast.
So like knight e4.
Knight e4, bishop d4, yeah, bishop f4, something like that. It's very unpleasant to play, so he played castle, which was the best move, knight e4, d5, very important move, otherwise black would be in a huge trouble. cd5. Yeah, bishop c1.
So why is d5 an important move? If actually,
So
it's
if
hard to suggest another move. Let's say I develop a piece.
yeah, now I believe that a4 is hanging, but
Oh.
I think the point is that if you go bishop takes c1 immediately,
Mm-hmm.
queen c1, knight e3, then there is c5, and it wins the knight. So that's why d5 is
And
important.
otherwise, queen g5.
Queen
and-
g5 is on, yeah.
So knight d4, d5.
cd, bishop c1, queen c1, knight e3, and I knew that there was a game, Swidler, oh yeah, maybe a couple of games.
So Karana, this was 2019 Single Cup.
Yeah, I remember the Swidler game, which was rook f3,
Mm-hmm.
takes knight d5, queen d2. I wasn't sure about bishop g4. I didn't recall that. What to do after bishop g4? But yeah, I can take and rook f4. I wasn't completely sure about this because d takes c4, rook g4, ed, and I wasn't sure if I have an advantage here.
So where do you think your advantage is? Is it more against this b pawn or playing against this king somehow?
So both.
Both, playing on both sides. So you want to take on something like knight c6?
Yeah, but I wasn't completely sure if this is
You
much.
also have a pass pawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have quite a few.
So after
That's
bishop
not worried.
g4, I can also play other moves like rook f1 or rook f2 even, because rook f2, f5, rook f.
This rook.
Yeah, I was actually thinking d4. That's a possibility, I believe.
d4 here.
Yeah.
And then point being if
And then
takes,
you take everything, and then g4 is hanging.
queen f4 check.
But I wasn't completely sure if it's an advantage.
With the idea of
Rook f1, I have some initiative. Yeah.
yeah, this looks quite dangerous because looking at this position, even what happened in the game, it didn't
Mm.
seem like somehow it could be so dangerous for black. So,
Right.
so when were you out of preparation? So you said you know
So
all of
actually,
this, right? Rook f3.
Queen d8 was the first move. I remember that there was a game with knight d7, I believe, instead of queen d8, and knight d5, cd5, knight c3,
This is very similar to what you had in the game.
knight f6, rook f1, bishop e6, and I can sack that on f6, and yeah, this is what I remembered. Yeah.
And you would be satisfied with this position, right? Takes and again.
I mean, I knew that it's a slight advantage for white, and usually these exchange sacrifices are very unpleasant.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would definitely have gone for this. So he played queen d8. I believe he still knew this because he played it very fast. Rook f1 seems natural, and maybe he was out of book at this point, I wasn't sure. He played knight d7, which was logical, takes, knight c3, and I was expecting knight f6.
Were you going to take again?
Yeah, I can take knight d5, rook a6, or f5, yeah. I wasn't completely sure about this. Like queen f4, for example,
Then
then
f5.
f5, yeah. I was planning to go e4 instead of queen f4. And something like this, I don't have like an immediate attack, but I have good compensation.
Because of the weak king and your
Yeah, I think I can
in
slowly.
the future you have a pass pawn as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So a lot of your ideas were associated with the sacrifice on f6, but instead, it's funny you did sacrifice on f6, but in the
Yeah.
best possible scenario. So he went d4 and then knight d5
Rook f4.
and knight c6. So
Yeah.
what was your reaction when you saw this move?
I mean, I was thinking about this before he played d4. It looked very natural to go for this d4, knight d5, knight c6, but on the other hand, I saw that I have knight f6, which looked extremely dangerous. I'm sure that he expected that, but maybe he didn't see bishop e4.
Yeah, that's what we
later
thought
on.
he missed, because rook e8, queen h6, f5, and this is just such a beautiful move. So what was his reaction when you played this move?
I think he already saw
Oh, you already saw it.
saw this before, but yeah, definitely this looks very unpleasant, because I not only threaten bishop takes f5, but also rook g4 is an idea, or the threat. So that's why he had to take. There was no other move. D takes rook a5. Yeah, I was expecting this
Mhm.
rook f3. I don't know what that is.
Rook f. Oh, the computer
Yeah.
line. I think the idea is to take on f5 and not allow check. So it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
some kind of a passing move. But
Okay.
I think what you played is more logical, because
Yeah,
you're just
rook
threatening
g5.
mate.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I know that the engine says like +6, but it didn't look so obvious to me. Like after queen h7, king f8, like after rook h6, there are so many moves for black. Like I don't have like an immediate threat. Maybe rook g6 is. I mean, I was planning to play rook g6, but I was like, black has so many moves like king e8. I was expecting that, but then queen g7,
And then if queen is.
and then queen g6. I'm winning the queen.
Ah, so check and pin. So for example, can show this. Wins a queen. So what was the move that worried you the most?
So I actually realized that black is just completely lost.
Okay. Yeah, because we saw you on the screen and it looked like you were calculating really hard, and he
Yeah.
looked kind of despondent, because I think he was also realizing that he's losing. So you must have at this point probably already thought.
No,
You're winning.
because like I don't have like an immediate threat with queen h8. You can always go king e7, and maybe that is still losing, but like it's not an immediate
Mm-hmm.
win. But yeah, it's very hard to defend rook g6. And he played rook e5 after queen g5. Yeah, it's just completely lost, because I have queen d6, which is very important.
Yeah, so you stop the king from running, and now it's game over, and you win this game.
Yeah.
And so now this puts you in the first place. So your closest rivals are Christopher and Sam Sevian. So this game very likely to end in a draw, so be a three-way tie. And Benjamin Bach was half a point ahead. So what do you think about this position?
Yeah, I think he has some chances to win.
So what it
Uh,
would be Black's plan in this position? Wait, the rook just went to h1 and then it came back. I thought his idea, this pawn was hanging, that's why he came back.
Well, I think it's just some long-term, like bishop pair.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if some queen d6, I don't know, bishop b7,
And then try to go
c5,
for c5.
but
to open
maybe
this
that's
bishop.
like rook d8, c5, I don't know. But it definitely looks very good for black.
And who do you play tomorrow?
I play Bok.
Oh, you play
Yeah.
Bok, so this might be a championship game. So if he wins, then you're in a must-win position. So you will be with the black pieces. You must have a lot of experience playing for him, because you're a Webster graduate.
Yeah, I think I played him 4 times.
What's your score against him?
All draws.
All draws. Okay.
Yeah, every time I play black somehow.
Again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a very good player. Yeah, I respect his chess a lot. Yeah, that is why he's winning the tournament or leading. So yeah, I expect a good fight.
Did you graduate from Webster? Or are you still?
I'm going to graduate this May.
Oh, this May. Okay. Well, congratulations on your win and your upcoming graduation. So we'll
Thank
be
you so
looking
much.
forward to your game tomorrow for fighting for the championship.
Thank you.
And that was Benjamin Gledura winning his game against Dariusz Swiercz and leapfrogging him and taking the lead in the tournament. And we were looking at this game between Mishra and Benjamin Bach, where our guest was also thinking that Black's position is better, and Black is enjoying a nice advantage associated with this bishop pair, and the idea of playing rook d8 at some point, bishop back to b7, and somehow going c5, which of course is very logical to open the diagonal of this bishop, because both sides have light squared bishop, but this bishop on f6 is just on this diagonal, and if the position opens up, this bishop is just going to become such a powerful piece. So this is an idea that Benjamin pointed out, Benjamin Gledura that is, talking about Benjamin Bach, and they will be playing tomorrow, and Gledura will have the black pieces, as he said he always does, which is quite unfortunate if you find yourself in a Muslim situation. But as we see, Benjamin here is pressing with the black pieces, so still a lot can happen in this tournament.
But no matter what, tomorrow, battle of the Benjamins. So
That is, we're going to be rooting for Benjamin tomorrow.
it's
And
true.
what else do we have here? So Christopher, you and Sevian, we looked at this. Okay, so this will be a draw soon because after g5, I think simple. And the problem is rook h5. The problem with rook h5, first I have g4 just to win the pawn, but also the rook on h5, I think maybe I don't even have to win this pawn immediately because this rook is so awkwardly placed. So this game I'm expecting to end in a draw, which bit of a consolation for Sevian, who started really well. He had this really nice win, and then he lost 2 in a row, really tough games, and I think he's quite probably is happy to make a draw. Very comfortable draw. He had the better side of the draw here, and tomorrow we'll have the white pieces and try to play for a win. And this other game, oh wow, tables have turned. No, this is not the game. Oh, we have not looked at this game. So Nodirbek Yakubboev versus Quesada Perez. The position where we started looking at this before the broadcast.
It's funny, this is the same tactic that Akshat Chandra played twice. So it's a very thematic tactic of this round.
But there was an earlier position where so I wanna just, yeah, in this position, black plays bishop e2, and this is so unfortunate because this knight is on c2. It's just so sad because after rook on e1, bishop c3. I think he played bishop c3 realizing about this knight, because if you play something like this knight is just trapped. This knight literally does not have a square to go to.
Wow.
Yeah, and you don't see something like this very often. And now if the bishop moves back, there's just not enough space for white's pieces because they're all congregated on the queen side, and after the rook goes on a8, the queen is trapped. And I think this is what he realized, and he decides to give up his exchange.
Which black doesn't even take, because why would you take the exchange for this light square bishop that's trapping all of your opponent's pieces?
Eventually took and then went d4, and here he played rook a8, but this also looked very strong because you're not able to take because of check, and otherwise h2 is hanging, but instead he went rook a8 and now took on b4. Queen goes to b7, but it looks like white maybe is breathing a little. The problem with exchanging this now, this is also hanging, and okay, this knight again doesn't have moves. This knight is not getting a break in this game.
Maybe instead of bishop e7, rook b1 was a try, just to put our rook on a better square and target the e4 pawn. But
and if I take, are you taking this way or this way?
I was gonna take with my pawn, but it still looks awfully unpleasant to defend this position. Probably you're just lost.
There's no doubt about that. So he took. He's also he's not down on time. So at least rook d4. Okay. I think unfortunately also white did manage to get his pieces into the game. Unfortunately, it cost him all the pawns. But I wonder if rook h4. Oh, very nice. I wonder if we're gonna reach some kind of a rook versus knight, 3 versus 3 kind of position.
Right. Those endgames, I think a lot of people might expect them to be like drawish because rook versus knight is a draw. So if we have like 3 extra pawns, what difference does it make? But the thing is those endgames are oftentimes just lost, even if you have an extra pawn with the side down the exchange.
And rook went to e8 with a threat.
Yeah, queen e2, queen e1 would have been a nice checkmate.
Yeah, this rook went on an adventure. So now going on the b file, rook on the second rank.
If I asked you which rook came from the king side and which rook came from the queen side, could you tell me?
Yeah, I would think this, right? Something like this. Okay, so queen d3, attacking f2.
I've just learned that Quesada actually has already won this game, and we will be getting an interview with him. So that's going to be very nice.
Okay, so then we can just play through this game with him. And we will go to Group B and see what's happening in our cube matchup between Felix Blohberger and Jason Liang. So Jason Liang, if he wins this game, he takes the title. And a lot of things have happened since we last looked at this position, which was somewhere around here. Actually, we saw all of this. And no, this is not what we're considering. So in this position, we're not considering this move knight c3. We were thinking about maybe a passing move like king f7, but instead knight c3 is played. So a lot of exchanges happened, and now we see this knight is in kind of a funny position because bishop e2. Okay, so change of the structure. And but luckily for white, the knight from e3 defends everything, defends this. Forever will defend g2, and because it's a light square bishop, it cannot be kicked out. So king d4, queen c1, king f7, and we have reached move 40. So I think there's going to be a long thing. But in the meantime, we do have the winner of Group A, Yasser Quesada Perez, who won his game with the black pieces. So thank you for joining us, and let's go through the game. So we saw the end a little bit, but let's start from the beginning. So we have seen this position almost every round. Everyone seems to be playing this 4 knights English.
Yeah, there was game was good. The opening very strange because I decide play with a6 by b5 with sacrifice a pawn. But I think all was well better.
Were you expecting this queen b3 move?
Queen b3 is, of course, is the main of the opening, but is important for preventing d5. I analyzed this position 2 years ago. I think a6 and b5 was a good idea, but I don't know if Magnus played that.
Okay, then that's how we know it's a good idea.
Yeah. b8. Okay, a3. Yes, that is an important moment because if a4, I play a5, no? Square before nice, no? If d4, it was interesting. If ed, take, and d5. Yeah, I think it was good. Knight before, and if bishop c4, b by 5, no, b5.
So there's no way to defend.
Yes, I think I was good for black. Yeah, e3. I saw many times in this position because I need to decide if sacrifice pawn or play solid with e8, d6. But I think b5 was a good idea.
So you spent some time. So did you decide this over the board, or this is something you had prepared?
Yeah, I saw this position 2 years ago, but I don't remember all. But I see b5 is idea. No?
Okay, so you sacrifice a pawn. He takes, and what is the idea behind the sacrifice?
Yes, I have more control for the center.
So you played e4, and the idea is this knight cannot go here.
Before take and c6. No?
Okay, so tactically you just lose. So he has to go to
only
e1.
move knight 1. This knight 7. Yes.
Queen a4.
Take is and c5. I think it was a good move because I prevent before.
Like if you go d5.
Before.
And then. So you start with c5.
Yes, I think this moment is a critical moment for white because my idea is d5, bishop d6, and attack with king side. Yes, I saw in the game D4, I think was for me it was a good move. CD, ED, D5, bishop F4, bishop D6 with take, and knight G4. No, and if bishop E2, take in B2. Yes.
Yes, it's very
but
strong.
maybe I don't know F3, but it's strange for.
Yeah. No, if you
what
push,
la-
you'll go knight
for white.
D3.
No, Queen B6 was best for black, no?
And then you still win the pawn.
Yeah. Yes, the position is strange for him.
And if something like H3, you probably just attack, right? Knight F4 is very strong. Yeah, this is very unpleasant. So what did you think? You still thought D4 is the best move here?
I don't know, but for me, in the in the end, I think he played D4, but he played knight C2 was D5.
And
Before Queen C7, it was a good move because my idea knight G4.
So if he takes, knight G4, and if G3?
And knight E5. If knight D4, bishop take, and knight F3,
and then you just checkmate on the light squares. That looks very dangerous. And so that's why he went bishop E2?
Yes, if H3, Queen E5, with idea Queen G5, and very dangerous.
Yeah, because this king just has no defender. So probably at some point he has to try something like F4 maybe.
Yeah, maybe
takes. This looks so dangerous. It feels like something is going to hang.
H5 with
this knight has yeah, this is problem, right? Because this is hanging, this is everything is hanging. Yeah, this looks very unpleasant. So he went bishop B2 to stop this.
Yes, before I think a bishop G4, but later I understand more the position, and knight G4 I think was a good move because bishop G4, F3. If bishop G4, F3, take, bishop
D6.
Yeah, take.
You want to take on F2?
With the pawn.
Oh, you want to take with the pawn.
Yeah, bishop E3 through F2. If knight D7, for idea bishop H4, bishop F1. No? And I don't understand that position. I think is very complicated for both. For that, I play knight G4.
So you played knight G4 with the idea that he has to take, because otherwise G3, this is again knight E5.
Again,
right?
First bishop F6.
Okay, so you attack this, so B1.
And knight E5. And don't take, yes.
Okay, so instead bishop took, you took, and now the whole idea is that this knight is just trapped here.
Yeah.
As you did in the game, not like that. And this knight just doesn't have any squares to go to, which is kind of funny because it's not something we see very often.
I have more control, I'm better, but bishop B2 was a mistake, I think, no?
It's hard to find moves for him, right? Because what is your threat? So you want to trap the queen?
Yeah,
as you did in the game.
Idea.
So you went bishop B2, you played here bishop C3, and you
bishop
decided
C4.
This is such a nice move, because if you take immediately, then maybe he can take the rook, rook, but at least the knight lives. But then you have bishop C4 with this threat, forcing the knight to E1. Then you took.
Yeah, in that position, I think D4 I think was good, but in this moment maybe if they bishop B2. I don't know if they take D4. Yeah, if I'm better, but yeah.
So bishop E3.
Bishop E3 or C3, but yes, it's better for black, but
it's not clear.
Not clear. No? Maybe one moment F5, F4.
F5, F4. Just try to win immediately. So instead, you decided to
we
play rook a8, and then you took on b4.
Yeah, simplify all.
And
B3.
then he managed to develop his pieces, but then
Mhm.
he's just losing all his pawns,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
if f3, knight e5, with both ideas, no? Take
e4,
and take a4 and some
Very
point.
dominant piece.
some
And knight d3, just take.
Yeah.
So knight f3, so you just took. So defending this guy. So at which did you already feel like you're winning, like it's over, or still?
Yeah, this position is winning for black, no? Okay, and it's a slow move and play slow, no?
Rook
But
e6.
with activity, is winning for black.
Yeah, it was so funny. Your rook went like to h4, h6, b6, and then it went to b2, so like all around the board. And then, yeah, your piece domination is very strong here. And eventually,
Yeah,
he just took everything. And the same tactic. We saw in another game a similar tactic, with the idea being you pick up this rook and you just up an exchange. And
He
this
problem
king is
with
still,
king, yes.
well, congratulations on your game. And who do you play tomorrow?
Christopher Yu.
Christopher Yu. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've seen
with
some of
whites.
his games. He's a very well prepared player. So what do you expect you will face tomorrow?
I play with Christopher in Continental.
Okay.
Last round, 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we play. We had a draw. Yes, but I think this. I feel good in this moment. I lost two round, but I happy with my chess. This tournament is very hard. Our play very strong, but tomorrow play a nice game.
So you'll have the white
Try
pieces.
to win.
Oh, okay, that's nice ways to finish. Is this your last tournament in the US, or do you have any other tournaments?
No, yes. I started in Western.
Oh, okay.
Well, I play many tournaments this year here in United States. Yes.
Okay. Well, good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to an exciting game. You have a very exciting opponent, and hopefully we can see you back here again.
Okay.
So
thank you.
that was Yasser Quesada Perez after his win with the black pieces, who's playing Christopher Yu tomorrow. And that game is still going. Somehow black managed to hang on to this pawn, so let's see how that happened. After g5, takes, rook g7, attacking this pawn. And he decided not to take this pawn. And I think what is he afraid of? He is afraid of checks. Probably doesn't gonna go up, but I think this looks quite equal, so I'm a bit surprised he decided not to take. And then the rook went here, and king e2 and g4. This is a bit mysterious to me, because why can't I just take this pawn? What is going on? Am I missing something very obvious? What is black's threat? Is it something with e5 maybe? And then e4 and going after this pawn that he was afraid of? Or that has to be it, right? Because otherwise why not take the free pawn?
Yeah, but it's a little hard to believe, right? Like I play rook g6 check and then rook, I guess, yeah, maybe.
I think rook g6 encouraged me a bit, so I don't think.
King c3.
So the point is, like, let's say you play something like this, right? And I check you, and I go here, and now I have to connect the pass pawn. So this is very, very bad.
Yeah, I think I have to start with king c3, and then you play e4 also.
So you want to go here, and then, yeah, e4 with the threat of rook e2.
But now,
now maybe we can activate.
Yeah, using the Philidor principle.
So here,
rook c8 check.
I go king d6. And the point is, if you check, if you defend, then I still win the pawn.
Yeah, for sure. So I would like to play rook d8.
And then I go here.
Yeah, all the same ideas from the
This
the
is,
normal
you
games.
know, it's very funny because it's 2 versus 2, and somehow very dangerous.
But can I play king d4 here? Because if you play the same sequence, then you hang the d5 pawn at the end. So like king c3, rook d3, or sure, king c5. The d pawn is technically hanging.
But I still think this endgame is dangerous, so
Yeah.
let's try it. So you go g4, I take.
Probably
so,
rook e8, or yeah, rook d6 also.
But even with rook d6,
Rook
your
d5.
king is very...
It's very
Funny.
bad, yeah.
Well, the line I wanted to point out, just to show... So check.
Mhm.
So I here, so you cannot take, because after I take, this will be a draw.
hmm
So instead, I will move my rook maybe even here. Actually, where do I want to move my rook to have some fighting chances? Maybe I just want to keep you cut off. And now my claim is your king is really cut off, and if you stay on the 5th rank, I'll just push my pawn. And actually, I think
Yeah, you can't even stop your
you
pawn
might be
now.
losing already, because how do you stop this? And if you go back, then so I cannot push my pawn because now I cannot defend it. And now I just go king e5, and I'm playing with 2 pieces, and you're playing with 1
But
rook.
maybe this is still tough to win, because if I play rook e1 here, and then you go king somewhere, and I play g5, and then g6, it's like almost in time.
Wait, so
I think
have to play here.
it needs to be like pretty precise, like g6.
So if I go here, you have rook g1.
Well,
No, rook g1, king f2.
yeah, I was thinking more along the lines of g7, but I think you're in time actually. I think you do win.
g7, I think I pick up. Yeah, g7, I just promote my pawn, right?
Well, rook c1 here is like a trick, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so maybe here. I was wondering if I have time to take it, but I don't think I need to do that. No, I think king f3 is already winning here.
Yeah, I agree.
So, wow, this position actually has a lot of
2v.
danger.
2v2.
So let's see our current position. So he's trying to build some kind of a fortress here. So they're repeating some moves. So king went to e5, king d3.
But this position looks awfully dangerous to me as well. I think that this is not the easiest 3v2 to hold. I think in general in rook and pawn endings, you'd prefer to have the central pawns, and black has the center pawns here that can cause white some danger.
So what is the defense here? So he went king c3. So let's say he goes king. Oops. So let's say I go king c3 here. What? So my idea is if you check and I go back, which is not something I want. At least you don't have this because I take this.
Right.
But you do have king f5. But then how do you make progress? Do you maybe want to go d4 and take on g3, and then you have a very annoying pass pawn? But now you can check me, right? Because I
Yeah,
don't have
king.
this move, you go here.
Yeah.
So, and if I go here, now you have rook f4.
Yeah, this actually looks kind of safe for white.
So then that means this is not something I want to do. So if you go king c3, what is black's plan? So again, like this checks is
This
very
would be
unfortunate.
even worse, yeah.
We don't want to allow this. So instead, what can be our idea? It's also
Maybe-
possible I can go d4 and create a
Maybe
pass
king,
pawn.
maybe king d6 and e5 just play slow, because if I can get my king back around to e4 with the pawn on e5, I think you are actually in some danger, because I think rook f4 is the base of your defense.
So if I do something like this, so this actually already looks quite problematic, right? Because now check is very bad, and if you go, so now if I get this pawn, I'll be quite happy. If I get this pawn, I'll also be quite happy. And the idea is also with checks, I might be able to cut off your king. still feels like there should be some defensive resources. So it's Christopher's move, and he is, after rook a4, he's thinking of what to do. So there's several waiting moves. I think king c3 is one. It's also possible to wait with this move, although perhaps this move just immediately runs into this with a tempo, with the idea of e4.
Yeah.
So let's say I attack here, but now we have checks.
Oh, this is just perpetual. It's a funny perpetual because you can never go to d7 because or e7 because d5 is hanging. You can never go to d7 because e5 is hanging. So you have to be careful when you time this e5 push, maybe.
So let's not do it. So I can, yeah, but we saw this check doesn't really help us. So what can we do here? Maybe we can be clever, some kind of a triangulation here.
Yeah, maybe king e7 first, and then when you give check, I'll go to d6. I don't know if you want to give check, or we could just go to d6 maybe. Yeah, and then just try to play e5.
Yeah, again, I'm wondering if, let's say you wait this way.
You want to go d4, rook a3, rook g3?
Yeah, I want to, because this is a concrete line, so I want to calculate it.
I think
Not there.
I think maybe white would go to e4 though, with the point that once you take on
then
g6,
d5.
I have d5, yeah.
But I think even this position, if I could somehow get it, I think this should be a draw. Let's say I go here, you go here. Is this a draw? Doesn't feel like a draw.
It doesn't feel like a draw anymore.
So
I don't like having the king on g2 because it's cut off from the pawn on d4.
So I cannot take on g4 because that's a losing king and pawn endgame. So what do I do?
Yeah, the reason why it's losing is you can immediately get to the key squares. So the key squares here would be d4, e4, and f4, and black just gets there. King d4 and you win.
Okay. Wait, so we have some moves. So this was played, king f6 and e5. So this is actually a really well-timed e5 because if check, then immediately here. And no perpetual. I think maybe in this similar position, how did we do it that our king was going? Maybe we went king e6, maybe we did it wrong.
Yeah, that was maybe imprecise.
So e5 with the threat of e4. So this is the second time I'm seeing Sam play some kind of a rook endgame with some funny tricks. We saw that really amazing rook endgame against, I think it was against Daniel?
Yeah, that's right, Daniel Dar.
With that really amazing save that...
nobody saw.
Yeah, but it's so fresh in my mind because it was just such a fascinating game. And again, we see him squeezing some kind of an endgame. And Christopher here played a move. I cannot see. I want to say he checked. So we're expecting king e7. Oh, sorry about that. So king goes to e7. And maybe he goes back.
So e4.
So let's try this. I'm just going down the most forced move, forced variation rather, and then I take.
Yeah, it's a question. So yeah, this should just be a draw because once you take on g3, I take on e4, and yeah.
If you go here, actually, just completely end the game.
Yeah, it's unlucky. Rook f3. Oh, well, that too. Yeah, rook f3, king g4 only move, but both rooks are hanging to both kings and. King versus king is what will be achieved. And
so this is a fascinating endgame, but still I think some pressure for white. Because if you go here, maybe I don't have to go for it. Can I try king f7? King f7. Do you have rook d8? With the idea if you go here, now I go rook e8.
Yeah, maybe we can give a check first, like
from here.
Oh, g4 is just hanging. Yeah. After king f7, rook d8, we give check maybe, and then here king e6, and then when you give your perpetual with rook e8, d8, I can go to f5, and now maybe this is unpleasant because you no longer have the move rook f4.
But where?
Oh, king e4 with black.
King e4. How did I? Oh yeah. Okay, that's clever. Oh yeah, this is actually, so here I probably have to go rook g8. But now you have check, and now you go off, I don't want to get cut off. Okay, this just loses.
Yeah, just winning.
So I have to go this way, and now e4. And I think this is correct. I don't think d4 is anything.
Lots of tricks for both sides.
Yeah, but this is starting to look quite unpleasant for white. So let's say I go here, here again.
And then d4 even, or
d4. You just wanna.
But maybe you give me a check, because this would be, I think, just losing for white. The pawn should be too. Maybe I spoke too soon.
Oh, your king gets cut off.
Cut, yeah. Never mind.
Rook endgames are so tricky.
Yeah, d4 is a bad move.
Okay. So king e7, and we're expecting rook g8, but we will let, so Christopher, again, he's up on time. Christopher is always up on time, it's amazing. So we will let Christopher figure out his defense here. Let's take a look at the game between Abhi and Benjamin, because this is very important for our standings. And I see a lot of exchanges have happened, and black is up a pawn, but opposite color bishops with I feel like every day there's this things, right? Some kind of an imbalance. There's some position with heavies where king is getting checkmated, opposite color bishop with rooks on the position. So it's like a very thematic tournament, and rook endgames.
Right.
So it's this recurring themes that we have here. But I think white is not unhappy, because once this bishop goes to d3, it's such a nice piece, you can really kick it out, and then also you're taking care of entry squares, and I think this kind of a comfortable position already.
Compared to what white had before, this is, I think, a dream, because white had a position where he had a worse structure and had to play against the bishop pair. So somehow white gave up a pawn in exchange for trading off one of the bishops and making it opposite color bishops, which makes drawing chances higher.
Yeah, so he took this. He traded this for this.
Yeah.
So let's see how that happens. So queen went to b2, and this is not possible because knight d5.
That's cool.
That is a very funny way of defending a pawn.
It's actually even worse than that, right? Because bishop d4, knight d5, you take on b2, knight b4 is a fork on your a6 bishop and the c6 pawn. So white might even be playing for the advantage there.
Yeah, this is quite unpleasant. So instead he played not this. He played bishop c8, attacking this pawn. Queen went back. So he took. Oh, okay. So actually black forced this trade. And queen f4, defending the pawn. So king went back to g8.
So
rook
maybe
c1, and okay, no,
maybe
this was all forcing.
Maybe this was just a mistimed simplification by Bach. Maybe bishop f5 was not totally necessary to play for an advantage. Not that I know what what black should do, but I like the two bishops. I'd probably just play slow here, like even a move like bishop d7 or.
And then just let white find moves. The problem for white is their main plan is associated with g4, g5, but for them to get in g4, g5, so first if you go g4, let's say bishop d7, this pawn hangs, so you have to somehow play something like king h3 or something, and okay, here I'm hanging the d4 pawn, but my point is, even if you get in g4, it's very difficult to get in g5 because you need to move the rook, and once you move the rook, this pawn hangs. So in this position, why was this not possible?
Is there some... Hold on.
I'm holding on. This knight has to jump, right? So not here. This is a free piece. So where is the knight jumping to?
E2 maybe.
Ah, and if here you have f6.
Yeah.
And then you kind of regret having a king on f8 because something like this, and...
Yeah, now practically it becomes very difficult to play black.
Yeah, this I would be very scared. King goes here, it takes. I mean, okay, so maybe you can still put a bishop on f8, but then h5 is like, let's say king g8, you defend, but then I come back, and then h5 is coming. All of a sudden, this is starting to look a bit scary, and I think white is quite happy with the change of the flow of the game.
Yeah, certainly.
So in the final position, a4, a5, so this bishop wants to go to c5, but I expect this bishop to go to d3, and hopefully this rook is not getting trapped. It's not because I have the c7 square. So white is quite happy with the trade of the rooks, and I think this very likely to end in a draw. So let us jump to Group B, our key matchup of the day. So since you left for me to do this interview, I don't know if you saw all of this, what happened in this game. In this position that knight c3 was played, and all of these exchanges happened. Queen went to b2, knight went to d2, and then exchanged on f3. So black's structure is actually quite ugly, but there's some issues, long-term issues with this king. Knight e3 luckily covers everything.
Yeah,
Queen d4.
I don't know if you agree with this claim, but I think that if black managed to trade queens somehow, then white would just be losing, because I think that the bishop is better than the knight, and the protected pass pawn is really strong.
I would disagree with that claim, because I think if I put a king on c3, so if I somehow, let's see, so queen c1, okay, let's try to take these queens off the board. I think I actually have a fortress here, because I don't think you're in time to push. I think if you push this pawn, I'm actually going to win this pawn.
Bishop b1 here? Oh, then you go and take my b6 pawn, or c3 pawn, knight d5.
Yeah.
Okay.
So f5 is hanging, and the only reason I couldn't take a f5 is because this pawn would queen. But now I might be threatening to take n5. And if you don't push this pawn, for example, if you put a bishop on e6, at the very least, I will do this. Not there. Let's say here, here, and I took away all your entry squares. And I think just the fact that my knight on e3 is not letting your king in, I just have a fortress. And if you go here, I can put a king on c4, and in this position, I can just. The thing is, this is kind of a mutual Zugzwang, right? Because if you move your bishop, I take on f5, and if you move your bishop, I take the king. But let's say, let's do this. Let's pass the move to white and see if I might be in trouble with white. I don't think I am, because if I move my knight and you check me, I can go to. Can I even go here? Actually, I might even be able to go here because. Oh, this is funny.
There's still no entry squares. Stalemate. Oh, this reminds me of some study where this was like the final position.
Was it the famous Blohberger versus Jason Liang game? Was that the study?
Yeah, I don't think they were featured.
This is funny. Of course, everything we did was not with a lot of nuance. We're just making very forcing moves. Oh, we are reaching an end game.
That's interesting. So my first impression was totally wrong. I guess the entry squares can be well guarded by white, and it's pretty difficult to make use of your pass pawn with black.
But we got kind of what we're looking at now. White has a better version of it. Ah, but this is. Wait a minute. Sorry, black has the better version of it. But what is going on here? At first, I was thinking knight and a pawn, keeping your king out. But then I realized you move your bishop, you go here, and then your king comes in. So this is a bit different because the king is already on e7.
And we've stopped the other king from coming in. Bishop c4 is very nice. We've essentially traded taking the a pawn for stopping white's king from getting in the game, and black has assessed that it's more dangerous to put his bishop on c4 and stop king f1 than it was to capture white's a pawn.
So king d6 played. So what is white's idea? Because if white doesn't do anything, actually I cannot even not do anything because I don't have moves.
So maybe king h2 and g4 at some point.
So let's say, do you still go g4?
Not anymore. I wanted to go g4 when you had to take with the pawn and I could get a passed f pawn.
So let's say here you're afraid of this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe then we have to start with g4.
And then king
so we
h2.
go here. So let's say c4. My idea is to just bring in my king. This looks very dangerous for white.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do I stop you? Can I go knight e4? Can I go a? No, a4 looks very bad because I'm just giving you the world. So I think already here
knight a4 maybe.
I can get only moves.
Yeah, knight a4.
I cannot.
Because if you go king c7, which maybe, oh, you don't even do because you're going to play c3 against knight b6.
But I have to make a move.
Oh,
Where do
yeah.
I go? This is the problem in chess. You have to make a move. But what do I play here? If I if I keep this bishop here, I think here you'll have a lot of counterplay. Actually, here I'm just gonna keep my knight here and just wait for you to go to d5 and. Well, let's
White's
see.
playing for a win, probably, even with like. Yeah, knight a4,
I
take on
f3
c3.
too. Yeah,
Yeah,
just take
4
all the
pawns for a bishop is too many pawns.
Okay, so let me not do this. Let me play here. So you take, I go here.
Maybe I have to. Okay, knight a4 back. I keep thinking I have to take on c4, but then I realize that because I can go b6 and then b7, and then or well, if you go here, then I'll take on g4, I think, and then I have f5, f6, f7. I can take the pawn on f3.
I cannot. So this is enough to survive, forcing you to take, and I take on f3. Okay, so let's go back to king d6. Oops, no. So the position we're looking at g4, which we found g4 because we're afraid of bishop e4. Although maybe, sorry, bishop e6. Maybe bishop e6 runs into knight a4 immediately. But okay, I kind of like this configuration because now we have a pawn to play against. And then we're thinking c4, again thinking very directly. And knight a4 was suggested by Julian. So I will promote this. So knight a4 with the idea being that black has to make a move. So let's say I go here. Can you take already?
I think so. And then once you take on b5, I think I take on c4 with. Am I okay to take on c4 with a knight? Because
I think you have to, because otherwise this runs, right?
Yeah, and then I try to do the same thing where I distract your bishop with f5, f6, f7. But of course I have the a pawn also, so that your king has to guard both sides.
But then if I stay here,
so
because I'm blocking the diagonal.
Yeah, so king g5 is smart, yeah, and then a4, a5, so on.
But what do you mean by so on? If I make a bishop move?
f6.
Then I go here.
King g6.
Am I losing?
Yeah, I don't think you can stop both my pawns now.
Okay, so let me try not to lose. Let me go here.
Still, well, king g4 is a funny move, but probably
Wait,
f6.
but king g4 I take.
Then king f3.
King f3.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say f6, right? Then I go king e6.
Then a4.
And then if I'm just waiting,
then king g6, yeah.
g6 is coming. Okay, but let's see, why is this? So if I do this.
Yeah, whenever you take now f7.
And then if I wait, you just push this pawn, and now I am losing. So g4 seems to be a critical move in this position. So what other moves come to mind if not g4? Because something like this,
Yeah, this looks pretty
even though
bad.
it's a trade, unfortunately the knight here is extremely dominated. I'm actually wondering if the knight is trapped.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. King c6, there's knight c8, and king c7, there's knight d5. So it's maybe not so easy, but
But this should be enough here, right? Because in all these positions, White's king is on g1 instead of
g3.
Yeah, now I just put a king here.
It's not the same when you have to fight against one pawn.
Yeah. Wait, the move was played. Oh no, the move was not played. I just saw the red box and I thought, oh, move was played. Okay, so in this position, sorry, I'm lost.
Bishop
Wait,
d3
king h2 was played. Oh, okay, the move was played. So king h2 was played and bishop d3. We're looking at bishop e6, but instead bishop e3. So now I think g4 really comes to mind, right? Because you don't really have any other moves. Can I wait? I can, right? Because bishop d3 comes with a threat. So I have to make a threat myself. So g4 is kind of a process of elimination. I see him reaching for something.
He's reaching for g4, I think, yeah.
But then he looks at his clock, reaches back, and he's thinking. But I think, of course, he understands that this pawn is c4, king comes in, this king. Kind of funny how this king got boxed in. So we expect him to play g4, which I think he did, if I'm seeing it correctly.
Yeah.
g4 played. So we expect all these moves. It doesn't really make sense for black not to take it. If c4, I think... Wait.
Yeah, you're not even in this.
Yeah, you cannot even get back.
Yeah,
okay,
so
your king is still in the square.
Right, but not in the square of both pawns. So if you go like king e6, which you must, otherwise like queen, then a4, a5, I think comes in.
Yeah,
I think that's
so
it.
this would be silly. So of course black took on f takes g4, h takes g4. And actually it's interesting he took f pawn, because if you take with this pawn, I might even think about going h4.
And then white is playing for the win.
So king g3, h5, king h4, and at least I have a passed pawn, right? So that means you have to dedicate at least one piece to stop it, because otherwise the pawn might run. So h takes g4, h takes g4, and king g3 will come. All of these are very forcing moves, very logical moves. We expect bishop f5. I guess c4 is a move to consider, and king c5, but is this anything? Can we go f5, king d4?
Yeah.
Are we afraid of this, or this is something we already saw?
Yeah, f6, and then knight d1, I guess.
And then you want to put your horse here?
Right, I was thinking, yeah, knight e3 was strong, because if you go c2, then I take it, and f7. But you don't have to play c2 right away.
And then you take on...
I was thinking a4 after king d3.
Thinking, sorry, what?
A4.
A4. I thought you
Yeah.
said f4. So,
f4, only slight cheating. Then b6, and I think the bishop is stuck.
Not very often we see bishop not be able to stop both pawns. Actually, funny enough, if we transport the bishop to d5, the same problem exists, because once I push the pawn, you take, I push the other pawn, so it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I'm curious, how does black hold after knight to d1? Because I saw the bar drop, but it seems so. c3, knight e3, and then what to do with black.
So
Oh,
c2
maybe-
is not a move, king d3 was losing.
Oh, maybe you go king e5 and just take my f pawn.
I don't think I take that pawn. Bishop f7. Can I try your idea?
Yeah. Maybe this time I can get my king back in time to defend against that pawn. So something like
Oh, okay. If you're just waiting, this actually might be dangerous, right? Because
king d6, yeah.
6.
And somehow my bishop holds the pawn.
It's
and-
amazing how this is zeros, because now black has a million pawns.
Right. So
Yeah.
bizarre.
So
I'd rather play black in that final position for sure.
So Jason is thinking, so must mean he's considering c4, because otherwise bishop f5 is automatic, right? You don't actually have that many moves that make sense. You either protect the pawn with bishop f5, or you go c4. So here we're considering knight a4 here, or king h4. So if I go king h4,
So I don't
here,
know if I like, so because king g5, g3, right?
cannot ever do this. So what were we considering here?
Think-
Bishop f5?
Yeah, knight a4, I kind of like, because I think I'm forcing you to play king c7.
And what was the issue here?
Yeah. I think just take, knight e3. And we're just in time not to lose.
And we saw something like this, right? So here, and then if you defend, then we go f5, and eventually you give up this pawn. And I think Felix is more than happy with the draw in this position. He is under a lot of pressure, and he has been, regardless of what the bar says, it does feel like he was under pressure in this game, because just the practical aspect of it. His opponent's pieces seems to be doing really well at some point, and then the structural changes. It's really well played by Jason, I think, entering this endgame where now White has to find this idea, and in some lines we're seeing how he has to find this idea to give up his knight and force a draw. So after bishop f5, so king h4, c4 probably still has to go for this, and looks like a transposition, so knight c3 now we just repeat. The problem is we can never play for anything more with king g5, because as we saw, king g5 runs into g3, and this pawn is unstoppable, so this is very unfortunate. And otherwise, I didn't mean to go that far back, otherwise this idea of knight a4 is the key idea. Attacking this pawn, and if we get to take both pawns, we're quite happy, because at some point this bishop has to get distracted to stop our b pawn, and then we take the rest of the pawns. And if black goes to c7, we go back to c3, and then we're just repeating. So this seems to be like a nice resource. Bishop f5 played, and now white to move. White is away from the board, but
yeah, white's probably gonna play knight a4. I would guess.
You think he will play it immediately, or is going to spend some time? He must have thought about bishop f5, right? You don't go for this and not consider bishop f5. So I think maybe either king h4 or knight a4, probably leaving the king on g3.
Yeah, I don't think it really makes a difference whether the king's on h4 or g3, because we always just hold everything from either one of those squares. So personally, I would play knight a4 first, but I don't think it matters too much.
And let's go back to our group A, and let's see if there's been any progress in this game. We left off here. There's been some move played, so the rooks came off the board. Let's see how that happened. No, I went too far again. So, rook c8, that's how. We're considering bishop e2. So the king comes in, pawn to h5, he starts putting his pawns on light squares. The king is coming in. So his idea here is going to be to play king, not there, king e2, and whenever black plays king c5 to be met with bishop to b7, so you're not able to do this. h5 is quite annoying against this structure, because if I ever attack f7, we have to go f6, which means the pawn structure becomes fixed. So for example, if I can make a few moves, let's say we go back. So let's say if something like this happens, right? This is a very easy fortress for me to hold already, because I'm always attacking this pawn, and I can always stay on this diagonal. Actually, your king cannot even move away because this pawn is hanging. So, and if you ever do something like this, then I can just put my king here, and
there's just no more winning or losing this game with either color.
So this would be quite comfortable draw for Mishra if this happens. But I think already here, this looks quite comfortable. Maybe black can try for a bit.
I think you can achieve more or less that position by force. If black tries king c5, we can go to d7, right? And then we go to, I meant d7 with the bishop, because if you go to, oh no, actually, maybe now you can go to b4. No, my mistake. No, this is not what you want.
No, this is danger zone.
This is danger zone. Somehow I thought that I would still be attacking. Yeah, bishop b7 is a better way. Just always attacking the d pawn.
Yeah, and then this is impossible, and this is actually kind of awkward because the bishop cannot stay here. So if bishop moves back, and this is very comfortable position. Bishop now just goes to d5, and we don't worry about our pawns being on the dark squares because it's not even possible to attack them. So there's no good configuration for black to do this. Maybe he needs to go from e5, and then we attack this, and then he goes this way, and then tries to go through d4. But here we can just, if you go this way, I can just wait, because your pieces are in the way of each other, so you cannot really do anything. So you can never go here, I will take, and if you ever go to e4, then you're pinned. So
yeah, maybe the only way black can try to win is to play a move like g6 and then hope that white trades on g6 and create a passed pawn. But after g6, I think white will just play the move g4, and the structure will remain the same.
So your idea is to try to create another passed pawn here. Yeah, that could be maybe a bit dangerous actually. Yeah, that's a possibility. So to try to play for a win, change the pawn structure, and g6 was played. So he's listening to you.
It's not good news for
Not
him.
a good. So at least maybe there are some targets here, but hard to imagine. So let's say if the king gets passive, the problem is I'm always attacking you. I'm always attacking your pawns. But if we get some kind of bishop c5, like something like this, and then all of a sudden, like something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but
Yeah,
white has to be very cooperative to get this.
Yeah, this looks dangerous for white at this point.
So after g6, g4 is played, and but now he's not going to let any of this happen. I think he will just leave his king here and keep eyeing this pawn, and whenever you do something like this, I'll just wait with the bishop, and whenever you go here, I'll go here. And if you put your pawn on f5, what will I do? No, maybe you can go this way. Maybe this position can get annoying. So for example, if I wait, you go here. My idea was to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But now maybe I can actually lose this pawn.
Yeah, maybe we can play bishop e2 instead of bishop d3, and just whenever you play king g5, move our king away, like king g3. But obviously, I'm not happy.
Oh, but maybe this is still okay. Oh, but now you go back. So maybe still a fortress of some sort. And let's go back to this Christopher game, which is Sevian. Oh, he got the g-pawn. How did that happen?
Wow. So Sevian has really good winning chances here.
So avoid rook endgames against Sevian. This is the theme of the day. So rook f5. So we did not consider defense on the 5th rank. So repeating, Grandmasters left to repeat, and this is how he got the pawn. King e7 and rook g6. But why not check again?
I think you just end up on c5, so like king d6, rook h6, king c5, and then if you attack me again, then e4 will come and I will just take your g-pawn.
Oh yeah, this is quite unfortunate. So instead, he played rook g6, rook g3, king e2, and rook g2. Ah, that's clever, because now he has king f1. And if here, then you have this move. So how do I hang on to my pawns?
Yeah, rook f3, king e2. It's very fortunate that the g-pawn is attacked, and rook g3. You're kind of repeating the position.
Ah, so this is rook g2, king f1. But can we still fight? 2 versus 1, and your king is cut off. So we can still try, right?
So you just want to go away and play king e6 again?
Yeah, either king e6 or king d6. Maybe I can try something like that.
Yeah, that's a better path, because I was going to point out that if you play something like king f6 and I go rook to b4, I believe after king f5, e4 should be one of these drawn positions. The Philidor with 2 extra pawns, I think, is still a draw.
Why is this a draw?
So I think we still wait on the 3rd, so rook b3.
Then I play here.
Then king e1, and then e3. It's still rook b8.
Ah, this is one of those
Stalemate, yeah.
Oh.
So rook f8, king e3, rook f3 is my big trick.
Yeah, I see. Okay, so in the game, the king went to e1. Why? What's wrong with king? Is there king f7? No. So here,
King f6.
rook g8.
Oh, rook g3 here maybe, and if you go king f2, rook f3, king e2, king f5.
Oh, wow, that's really nice. Wow, these guys are so good. I want to be
Yeah.
this good.
Yeah, me too.
So hold on.
Enviable for sure.
How did we do this? So after, it's funny, right? Because once something is played, then you're like, oh, it must be a reason, and then you figure it out. So we said if king f1, then king f7. So if here,
Then rook d2 and yeah, just rook d3 and e4. I think this construction might win.
wait, I wanted to try something. Can I play here?
Oh man, that's fancy.
But fancy is how we don't win.
You always
Fancy
find the
is
tactics.
fancy is a danger zone. When you have a winning position, you start going to fancy. This is how you make blunders. Okay.
I don't see how to defend against that. I think
So
that just works.
this actually due to big threat. Okay. So let's see how we did this. I want to go through this again. So we said king f1. We went king f7, rook g5. So taking on e5 is a very simple win.
Yeah, we're on a key square and king on the 6th always wins, even if the king were back on e1 and the king is nowhere near being able to stop the pawn on d5.
And otherwise, if you go to g8, we found this, and king f5. And if so we said check here, devastating, and if I wait with rook g7, but now your rook is free. And we don't play king e4 anymore, we just play with 2 extra pawns, which should be enough to win the game.
Yeah,
I think.
rook
King
games down
f2.
2 pawns usually are lost,
But
with some exceptions.
This should be enough, right?
Why not just rook, or, okay.
Rook f3, I go back.
I was thinking rook h2, and then if you go to g3, rook e2.
Yeah, this should be enough, because, yeah, 2 passed pawns with the king in front. This will be enough to win the game, so this is just game over here. A really nice play by Sevian, finding all the resources. So maybe Christopher is going to regret not taking that pawn. So king e1, he is thinking. So what is he thinking here? Is this king just cut off on the 6th rank? Is this the issue? If I go king f7, do you just kind of chill here? This is hard to believe, right? Because I just push, and then next.
Maybe you try rook d6 instead of rook a6. Like king f7, rook d6 with white, trying to hold.
Ah, yeah.
That's actually maybe why he went to e1, right? Because rook d6, you could, in previous positions, you could go to d2, but the king on e1 actually guards the d2 square.
Ah, and if I go here, now you can go king f1.
It's so weird. These players, like, how much nuance they have to see in these endgames. They had to see this king f1, king f7 thing, and here they have to see, like, rook d6. There's no more rook d2 after king e1. And maybe, I don't even know if the position's a win or a draw. It just keeps going back and forth in my head.
So if I go here, so king f2 was set. So if you go here, does d4 win the game?
It should.
We're like, well, so uncertain, right? Everything he says like question. So I have an idea here. So takes, king f2, right? And now I'm gonna play here.
Yeah, always with the...
And the problem for you is your king gets in the way.
Yeah, there's some very famous study with this idea, but...
Oh no!
Oh no!
Wait, but this does it have to be?
Wait, so king e4, maybe after rook takes g...
Wait. So maybe I need to go here.
Oh yeah. This was the study. There's a study where they play like rook g4, then rook d, and then you have to play like d1 rook instead because rook d4 is stalemate for some reason. I don't quite remember the position.
Yeah, and there like the king is on the corner though. They're getting
Mhm.
mated. And here, and
No
now
more
I queen.
checks. The king is in the way.
But in the game, something completely different was played. G3 was played. No, sorry. G3 was...
King E1 is the last move, I believe.
So here we're considering...
Or it's a different King E1 somehow?
No, this was... And then instead of King F7, he played G3.
Mm-hmm.
So G3 here... And now he's going to put a pawn on E4. Right, because nothing else makes... unless there's King F... No, King F7 I can go to G4. There's nothing special about this. So he will put a pawn on E4. And now he has this nice configuration. And the question is...
How do you make progress, though?
Yeah, but what does white do? I think this is...
Oh, so if you move your rook off the 6, then my king comes in. If you move your rook off the G file, then I play G2.
But I'm not sure G2 wins. Because... Yeah. But maybe I can go to King F7, now threatening G2.
Mm-hmm.
And if you check me, then I just stay... I mean, this looks... Okay, my king is going in. Okay, you cannot do this because G2 is actually winning here.
Yeah.
G2. Okay, this is rook F6. Wait, rook D1.
Wait, sorry, why not King G4?
I don't know, Julian. Asking difficult questions. No, I mean, this is just...
Yeah.
No, I thought there's rook D8, but okay, this must be...
King G3, right?
Is rook F1 winning? No, rook F1 looks making like...
Oh, rook F1 also, yeah. Oh, rook E3. Yeah.
This is, there's some thematic position, right, where you do this. Okay. So, but if you wait on the G file, then what do I do?
So King D6 I thought was the big idea, but
then
it's hard to hide.
I wait, and then every time you come here, I just start checking you. So how do we win? So I just keep checking. So I just check you forever.
Yeah.
And then I come back.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So King E2 is played. So I assume E4 will be played, and let's say rook G5. So King E6. Can I? What can I do? How do I win this? Can I somehow give up this d-pawn? Let's say you go here and I go here, you go here.
King C4.
Okay, let me try this. D6. I am getting so close to losing. Or am I? No, but this must be... Must be what? I don't know how to end this one. No, but King E3, right? Or no?
Or rook G8.
G8. I didn't see this one.
I think it's just Philidors now.
You love your Philidors.
I try to play Philidor in every position. I've never won a game in my life. All my rating points come from performing Philidors.
What can I do here? Alright, so it's, my table base tells me this is drawn, so that's helpful. Okay, so I should not be doing this. So how do we win this? And this is the position we have on the board. Rook G5 played, attacking this pawn. Presume King D6, and let's say we go back. Can I triangulate somehow?
Yeah, I was wondering how dangerous the position would be if I, like, King E5, Rook G5, and then King E6, and now it's white to play.
And then I go here.
Now maybe King F5.
And then I wait.
It's all the same.
It's all the same. It's a Philidor. What do we do? What do we do? I don't see it. rook g8 played. This is a fascinating endgame. It's like up to pawns, but this configuration is just so funny. He went king f6, tempting him with rook f8.
Is this good temptation?
I don't think so.
Take.
No.
Yeah, and you lose.
Maybe if it was... No, if it was black to play... Wait, if it was black to play...
If it was black to play, black still wins, yeah. King h4, king f3, king h3.
No, but that will go here. No, but then you triangulate with king g5. Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're playing... So he's not going to do this. He will go rook g4. And now what is Sam's plan here?
Rook g4 was played.
Yeah, rook g4 played. And what can we do here? Can we... No, I cannot. I wanted to do something, but it's not working.
By the way, very nice defense by Christopher. I mean, we give a lot of credit to Sevian for playing these rook end games so tricky and putting a lot of pressure on his opponent, but Christopher had to play really well not to just lose like so many times before he got here.
Yeah, and actually on the clock we see 32 minutes to 1 minute, so Sam has only 1 minute to figure out this endgame. And Christopher's moves are very easy, it's just waiting on the G file. And of course Sam can also make up a lot of moves by just shuffling around, can make up a lot of time, but the question is if he's going to find a winning plan. And in the meantime, let's take a peek at other games. Okay, king e5, rook g5 play. Let's take a peek at the crucial game in Group B between Felix and Jason. So let me promote. And this is the position that we have. So let's go back. Oh, it looks like we are reaching a repetition here. So all of this was played. Let me promote this variation. So this was played, knight a4, he went back, and so far they're repeating knight c3. So how many times is it already? So if he goes king d6, this will be threefold. So let me see. So this is one time.
So Jason can claim on this move, is what I've been told.
Oh yeah, Jason can claim, but I think Jason is the one trying. And if he goes, so this is the position. If he goes king d6, which he didn't, then his opponent could have claimed.
So black is trying to play for a win here.
So if we go knight a4, is this dangerous? Can you go here? No, but this, I feel like I'm having a deja vu. But here I might even go this way, right? Or no?
Yeah. Probably up a few tempos on the previous lines. Or is this the same, like idea knight c3, knight d1?
Well, king, so now you have to go what?
I mean, instead of
b6,
knight c3, and then king d4, knight d1, and if you play c3, I'll take it, and go b7 and f5 and so on.
Yes, I think it was. So knight c3, bishop e6, but I think this position has repeated twice, so if the bishop goes back on f5, it's possible we'll have a threefold later on. But he's keeping the game going because he realizes, because if he draws this, then he's a full point behind going into the last round, and then puts him in a must-win situation.
And it requires Felix to lose, which is always tough, relying on other people to make your results happen for you.
Yeah, and more events you need, then the less the likelihood lowers, right? Because you have to have so many events happen at the same time, which has happened to me before when I was leading going into a half round and I lost and my closest competitor won. But you know, this is not something he wants to do, because this is his chance. He's playing the leader and he can shuffle around and try to take him down. So knight a4 is a move. Are there any other moves? Is king h4 a move? So knight a4, what was our idea after c4? We go back, king d6, and we go back. And king d5.
Yeah, take on c4 and try to make a draw like that is what I was going to do. Maybe the computer finds some way to win, but I was very happy to just make a draw here.
Oh, this was our idea, right? Here, let's say here. King d6, king d5. King d5, king d6. King d6, king d5. 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 King d6
Yeah, at some point I'll go f5, f6, f7 and trade
This-
my... Well,
Yeah,
here,
Here we win.
yeah. If you go after my f2 pawn, I'll probably just defend and then claim your bishop's overworked.
Yeah, so we cannot do that. It was a move played, a move was not played. So bishop e6. Did we look at this? Is this also a move? So what if I just keep shuffling here somewhere? Okay, I moved the pawn, so I shouldn't be afraid of going to f5. Ah, now you check.
Mm-hmm.
And once again,
Knight c4 to e3 is the construction.
and if here. Ah, that's
Oh.
unfortunate.
Yeah. I totally saw that and definitely play knight e3 not based off luck.
So if I go back, what do we do? Okay, moves are
a4, right?
far. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can make a draw. Like
So
I
just
can
wait.
wait. Yeah, king h4, king
So
g3.
the key is the king cannot move from the square. So it's funny because neither king can move from the square. He went f5. Ooh.
Wow.
Wow.
I would not have done that personally because I want this pawn later so I can take the f3 pawn, but I guess he's calculated something concrete.
So maybe showing a bit of nerves or just concrete calculation. So what is the idea? If you go king f4, you can never take, first of all, because g3, but I can simply go back. So it's possible that this might cost him the game, right? Because in a lot of lines we needed this f-pawn to make a draw. And so what's the idea is to go here. And if you go to b7, now your favorite construction. But is this, and now my king can actually activate because some,
g3 has been guarded in a way.
can I take?
Yeah, I was gonna ask this question, but it is awfully risky to do this.
Well, it's a king
Right.
and pawn endgame, right? So we can calculate until the end. Because actually I'm on time.
Yeah.
And
There's this rule, if you can make a box to the end of the board with two pawns, then they queen, even without help with the king. And
what do you mean?
so if you have two passed pawns, and you can draw a box to the end with both of the pawns. So like, yeah, like pawns on b5 and
like
f5.
this?
Yeah, like that, then the pawns can queen by themselves.
Oh, I
And
didn't
if
know this
they-
rule.
Sorry?
I didn't know this rule.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is. I mean, connected passed pawns are strong, but this kind of distant passed pawns, they're stronger. So knight d5 played. And what if we try, so king b7, knight e3. But okay, we're under no obligation to take. We can go after this pawn. So king f3, bishop b5. Are we happy here as white? We must be, right? So maybe knight e5 to cut off the king, or king e4. There's a lot of moves here. It's hard to pick. Check, let's say f4. Already feels like we're in the draw territory, right?
Yeah, it does feel like we've simplified the position a bit. So maybe just good calculation by Felix.
So what if I go here and now, what do I do? So now you're threatening to go knight c4,
So maybe king e5.
but I don't think
Oh,
he's
yeah.
helped me because
You just go b6 here.
b6
And if you-
here and knight d6. Well, actually, am I in time to do this? Oh yes,
Yeah, you have the trick.
the knights. For once, the knights are useful. Okay, so that all works out for us. We're getting some moves in. He played king b7. And here we're saying knight e3.
Which has been played.
So this was the whole idea. And it's Jason to move. And he will either go to d3 or d7, I think, right? Because did we look at bishop d3 or d7? No, we only looked at bishop e6. So why not just attack immediately? Did we look at this? We saw a version of this. How did we get here? No, we went only to e6. Getting lost in my arrows again. So why not here? So you take with the king, probably,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because your knight is well placed. And actually you get a very active king. Just push the pawn. And getting very close to draws here. Excuse me, b5. Hard to believe. Hard to believe.
So in
White is
Group
going
A,
to-
Mishra and Bach have drawn their game, which means that Bach preserves his tie for first place, but does not move into sole lead. And I guess Sevian is still trying to beat you, but yeah, our most important game is still going to be this Blohberger game.
Wait, did he manage? What is going on? So let's see what happened. So he went here. So we will go back to that game. Just very curious what happens. So d4 is what we're calculating. King f4 and rook h8. So if I go here, why is this a draw? Because
Yep.
because why?
Without the D and E pawns, it would just be losing, right? This is
Mhm.
Lucina's.
So if I go here, so you have to defend your pawn.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. So do I want to go here so you don't get out, or so let's say here?
Rook h3, only move I see according to the table of pace. What is Rook h3 about? So
It's just
if g2, then you take, or you can't take, right? Like I think you just lose if you take. If you
and I
take,
think you're in Suksavang. No, yeah, you
Yeah.
don't have. Is this a Suksavang? Can I go King f1? So you check.
and
here.
then, oh man, some
It's
very
crazy.
precise calculation
Then
needed.
here.
And then rook.
Oh, this is.
Oh
But
my,
okay, this is
oh
not hard
my
to
God,
believe, right?
yeah.
This king is just on the other side of the board. This is not very shocking to us. So after rook g8, king went to h3, rook h8. So we're going to see all of this. So let's see. We will see if Christopher Yu is able to draw this, which I think he should be able to at this point, right? Because process of elimination, he has a lot of time. So I think one of his problems is even when he has a lot of time, he doesn't spend the time. Like that game against Mishra, when I asked him, "You're up an hour, so did you think you should have thought at some point?" He was like, "Yeah, I probably should have." I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
maybe." But I think when he sees something, he just plays it. He doesn't question himself.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that style of play.
No, I'm the opposite.
But-
I question myself quite a bit. So I'm on the other side of it with always being in time travel. And so let's go back to Felix versus Jason. And we have a lot of moves coming in. Oh, very close to what we're looking at. So we saw this. Bishop went to d7, knight took, king took, and the king is going from the other side. He's going for this pawn. So he's trying everything possible.
Mhm.
So his idea is to take this pawn and let's say, how can I attack this pawn from d5, right? So let's say I go to, but again, it's a knight. Knights just get dominated.
It's
But,
a theme
oh.
every single day. It's knights versus bishops. But here,
found it.
it's okay.
No, but did I find it? Oh, king c3.
Yeah, and if king a3,
But
then
then
knight c4.
b5.
King b2, or
Oh, king b2 already, yeah.
yeah, we are in time, and I think we managed not to lose.
And we also have our own pass pawn, so it's not like we're not doing anything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
For example, even here, what did I do? So, like if I start pushing and you take and I push, you actually have to worry about stopping my pawn, right?
Yeah, so something like b5, f6, and your claim is I need to play bishop e8, otherwise I will lose.
Maybe
And then-
I can come and get their bishop. So your bishop has to go here. And now the question is if this is a draw, with our table base tells us, but
Yeah, but why would we risk such a thing? I think that this is playing with fire.
Yeah, for sure. But okay, here I think it's actually simple because of this knight c4. So for example, even something like this, if c4, I can just take.
Yeah. This is one of the first endgames I learned in chess.
Yeah, this is an important endgame to know. I think if you're a beginner under 1,000, you just need to be able to draw or win these endgames just in your sleep. So he goes 95, and what is the idea after king a4? Because this is not, oh no, this is what we're looking at, right? We're looking at king a4 and 90, wait.
No, we were looking at king d2, 93,
right.
yeah.
So he went 95 immediately. So what's the idea here?
Maybe he just wants to push his pawn now.
So f4.
Because takes f5.
So now I'm threatening this, so very similar.
And then knight
right?
c4 here instead, yeah.
So instead you have to play here, f6, bishop e8.
No,
Somehow this feels like a
knight
better
d7?
version.
Knight d7?
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, but I could still lose. Why is there always a trick?
Well, our bar tells us you're not losing, but why
yeah.
not?
That is a good question.
Why aren't we losing here? So it says king d3, but why not check? King e2, here.
It's important to leave the knight on b6.
Ah,
yeah.
you just, so you have this knight c4 move.
Mm-hmm.
Actually here knight c4 is a threat, right? So if I pass, I cannot pass. I don't have a good way of passing. Okay, here you just put a king on c1 and we're safe.
Yeah.
But let's avoid adventures. So 95 and king a4. So we went f4, king a3. All of this very forced. So f6 with this idea of knight c4. So we went king b3, f6 here. So I wonder if this is easier. So here, is this easier? So knight here.
So c3.
C3 we already forced a draw. Or am I hallucinating here? If you go here. So I wanted to do this, but I'm not in time because king b3 and I cannot get close to the pawn. But maybe I have knight e2 and king d2 because here.
No, you do actually get there in time.
And I'm threatening both this and this, and you cannot start both of these moves. Okay, we have moves. We have bishop a6. And
white.
now
Yeah, white has already played f4, I believe.
yeah, f4 played. And if king here, but now there's knight d7. Or at least, or I can also do this, right? If you take, now knight. Wait, no, now f6. There's no bishop c4.
So bishop c8, knight c4 was played.
So king b5 is not a move. King b5 runs into knight d6. King a6 only move. King a4 just loses everything.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop a6 a bit of a strange decision, but the players have been playing for almost 5 hours, so I'm sure they're very tired. And Jason has less than 2 minutes, so king a6 was played. But now knight d6. Right now, white gets the better version of this. Where do you go? Here?
Yeah, I actually have a hard time imagining white loses this position anymore because it seems like you should be in time to even like. I was thinking instead of f6 even you could go like king c3, king d2, c3, and I don't imagine you lose.
You just want to defend the pawn. Yeah. And now actually you're just going to win this bishop, right?
Yeah, and I shouldn't win because you'll go b5, b4.
Yeah.
But
So this actually forces a draw. Really? Okay, I'm not gonna say anything every time I say something. Something bad really happens.
Commentators curse.
So just let them play this out. But already looking like things are simplifying. So after king a6, knight d6, I think is a very easy move to play, because you're just attacking the bishop, clearing the path of the pawn. But at the same time, maybe even king d2 is possible because king b7. Can I do this? This must be a draw. a4. You go for my
a4.
pawn.
a4 is nice. I think a4 you have to play though. Like if you don't play a4, then I think you lose to b5.
So So if I go, let's say here, it
Yeah, b5. I think this is hard, right?
No, because I learned about some
Oh.
rule about
Oh.
disconnected
Oh,
pawns.
Yeah.
But I have to be okay. If I go a4 here, I will lose, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
But I will start with king b3 here, a4,
yeah.
and if you go here, now I will win.
Mm-hmm.
So here you will have to take. You go after my pawn, I go after yours, and we just trade everyone.
Okay.
So knight c4, king a6, and no moves yet. Felix has quite a bit of time. Maybe he's trying to be as precise as possible. He has a few options here. King d2 might just be the easiest move.
Yeah, I'm always really scared to play any sort of king and pawn ending because if I'm wrong, then the game is just over. And I don't know. It feels like right now we don't need to do that. But
yeah, king and pawn endgames are very. You have to be very certain that what you're doing is correct because they're very precise. You can calculate them until the end, which is good because you can force your play, but also you have to make sure you're not missing something because if you're playing some kind of a rook endgame where you're defending and then you trade to, even if let's say you're up a pawn, you trade down, you give up your pawn to king and pawn endgame, you might be losing, you might be winning, and on the other hand, you win a pawn, you might be losing.
yeah, king and pawn endings are always really tricky, even when they don't seem like they're the case. That's the case.
Wait, what am I? Wait, a lot of moves happened. 96. Oh, sorry. Again, there's too many arrows here. So he went 96, which I think is the most natural tempo move. So the bishop, if the bishop goes here, I think this is actually tricky because now I'm threatening f6, f7, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe your bishop gets dominated. Can I
A
check?
bishop being dominated, that doesn't sound like this tournament.
No, definitely not. So here I have this move, right? You cannot take.
Nice, yeah.
I can be very fancy. This has to be. There's just nothing here. King b4 and.
Yeah, if b5,
There's no
we can
move.
even play knight b5
Yeah,
and
this
king
is the
c3.
easiest.
Yeah.
Very nice. So bishop d7 was played. That's not good. He's playing what I'm predicting. Cannot be good. So white plays king d2. I think white just wants to be safe. And if king a5, I think king c3. And if here, then knight c4, I think is also.
Oh yeah, this is also probably just making a draw by force because b5 you have knight b6 again.
Yeah. And this would be very unfortunate. We don't expect this to happen. And in Group A, Sevian, so we learned that Benjamin Bach drew, and Sevian, oh wow, queen endgame, but this must be already a very easy draw, so we can see how we got here. So rook went to d8.
So Christopher is playing some very precise defense here.
And very quickly too, because he has half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And because the king is in front of the pawn, any kind of queen trades will lead to a draw. We are on move 95, and they have been playing for 5 hours and almost 100 moves. So this is a big battle.
Yeah,
What a game!
This round, everybody's fighting their hardest, and they're playing very, very long end games, which will put certain people. Like Sevian would have really liked to win this endgame, but Christopher has defended really well. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at the standings, because we've more or less looked at every game. In the A group, Benjamin Gledura and Benjamin Bach have tied for first. And we are awaiting the results of Sam Sevian and Christopher Yu, which means we expect Christopher to join Benjamin and Gledura for a tie for first. And in the B group, we are expecting Felix Blohberger to draw his game and remain a point ahead of the field, but it's not final, and it is possible that any one of those players could mess up that game in some way still. So let's go ahead and take a look at the pairings for tomorrow, though. Illia Nyzhnyk will be playing against Nodirbek Yakubboev, Dariusz Swiercz against Dardha, Benjamin Bach against Benjamin Gledura, Sam Sevian against Abhi Mishra, and Yasser Quesada Perez against Christopher Yu. In Group B, it'll be Jason Liang versus Victor Mikhalevski, Dambasuren for. Oh, okay. Actually, we have gotten a result. So Felix Blohberger did draw his game against Jason Liang, which means he will be a point ahead of Jason going into the final round, meaning that Jason needs to win in order to tie for first. So Felix can secure the tournament tomorrow with a draw.
A big result for him. I'm sure he's relieved. And, they're playing these long games, which makes me wonder if they know that tomorrow the round starts 2 hours earlier because they won't get as much time to prepare. And interesting you mentioned that Jason is playing Mikhalevski tomorrow, and we know that Mikhalevski is the most combative player here. He has 5 decisive results, and he has been playing this English line with black, at least when he faces the English, right? This line with where he goes e5 and sacrifices his line. So I'm wondering if Jason is going to look at that game and be like, oh, he just keeps playing this in the tournament, and try to repeat it and try to find some kind of an improvement and put some pressure on him. And we also have a draw in the Sevian game, as we were expecting. I misclicked. Very nice game. So this section is over. Group A is done. And in Group B, I believe we only have one more game going. Viktor Mikhalevski is actually going to be losing his game. So this will be his 6th decisive result, not the result he wanted. But tomorrow he will have to face Jason Liang with the black pieces, and Jason is going to try to do everything he can to win his game, and of course Felix can just clinch the tournament with a draw. So tomorrow is a big day, and we will be crowning our champions.
So let's go ahead and talk about tomorrow. There will be a lecture. Oh, sorry, my bad. Tonight, in half an hour, Dariusz Swiercz will be giving a lecture on Bobby Fischer. So Bobby Fischer's beautiful games against Mikhail Tal and some of his games in the World Championship, I believe. And that will be on the World Chess Hall of Fame's YouTube channel. Join us in half an hour. Swiercz will be looking at some of Bobby Fischer's games.
And make sure you're joining us tomorrow 2 hours earlier at 2 p.m. Central Time. We will be covering the games, and we will be here until we have a winner in both sections. So in case there is a tie, we will have a playoff and a tie break, and we'll be here for all of that. So thank you for joining us, and make sure you're tuning in tomorrow.
This has been a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club. Any reproduction or distribution of this content without the express written consent of the St. Louis Chess Club is prohibited.